Basically what we have here is there's a book that is super important for 4th century Christology by a scholar named Manlio Simonetti. Unfortunately, it is only in Italian, so that presents a challenge, right? So what I've done is I've created a table here, right? And so I create a new cell, new line for the table anytime there's a paragraph break, and then translation in English over here. So and so what I've done to get this is OCR is character recognition. And if you can get a PDF of a book, you can usually get character recognition where you can just copy and paste from the PDF. Sometimes it's a little messy, and so sometimes it's you got to go through and just double check, which is a little time consuming and maybe not worth it. The other option, which proved to be a lot faster for me, was to get a physical copy of the book and take a picture of it with my iPhone, and then the iPhone can run character recognition, and usually that's going to be better than an older PDF. And so then I can just copy into the Notes app, and then copy from the notes, and then dump it into here. Okay. Then I have a program that I use, DeepL, and DeepL is translation software. And so what you can do with DeepL, which is pretty cool, is you just if you select the text that you need to translate, see here you can do Command CC, and it will translate your. There we go. It'll translate all of that, and so now you can see the translation here. On the beginning of the error and controversy up to the council. On the beginning of the error and controversy up to the council. And so you just go through and you use DeepL to translate that. Now, I'm actually using the paid version. I just haven't logged in today. So there are limitations to using DeepL if you're doing the free version, and occasionally you'll get something where if you copy and you paste it into here, occasionally you'll get something over here where you're like, oh, I don't, like sometimes it struggles with origin, so sometimes it'll change this over here to this origin, and so you can go in and you can click on words and tell it like, no, I want you to translate that this way, or whatever, and then it'll actually save that if you have if you log in, so that you can make sure that it always translates it that way. It did the same thing with Arius. It struggles with names sometimes. So the other thing that I've done is I made sure that I've got the same page number here, and so this is page 25, and so this is all that occurs on page 25 in that book. Notice this is 9.5 point font, and so you have to zoom in a bit. This is 9-point font. Have to zoom in. It's nice that I have a larger monitor, so I can get pretty close to this, which is helpful. And then as you scroll through, it tracks the pages. Then what I've done for the footnotes is up here in the text itself. Where is the footnote at? There it is. So notice here I've got a lowercase Roman numeral 1, and then here I've got the numeral 1. Well, what I've done is in the Italian text, I've preserved the Italian footnote as an end note, and then I've translated the footnote into English, so that way I can more readily access it. And then that carries throughout. And so what that does for me is I know what page number I'm on. If I read something and I'm like, oh, here's a great example of the name, right? This is a letter of Ario. This should be Arius. And so, but it's just one of the issues with the translation. It's not perfect. And also notice here it's got this title in German. Well, that's the title of the book. And if you're translating from Italian to English, it's not going to translate the German as well, which is actually helpful because you want to be able to maintain the name of the book accurately. And since it's a book in German, you want to be able to actually know what that is. Point being, if I read something over here and I'm like, oh, I need to cite this, well, I'm not going to be able to cite the English translation because this is an AI translation that is not, scholarly literature that is recognized or anything like that. What this does is it gives me something that I can read in English, and then I can track it back to whatever the Italian is. And since I have the same page number, I can copy and paste the Italian and cite the correct page number. Same thing is true of footnotes. If there's something in the footnote that I want to cite, I can do the same thing. I can track back to the Italian, and the footnotes are end notes again, so I can go down to the end note if I want. And I can get the Italian text based on what I've read in the English. So this has saved me a bunch of time in that I don't have to learn Italian in order to read this book. And that's just been, tremendously helpful. I haven't done this for the entire book, but I've done it for, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 chapters. And you can see here, the table goes pretty far down. And, and this allows me to read the book. I've done this with some journal articles, stuff like that, and it's super helpful being able to access literature that otherwise I would not be able to access.